Hi there, I'm Gerald Lopez, and we're continuing our Biohacking Healing series with David Holden, naturopathic oncologist and nutritional biochemist. So today we're going to talk about energy, biohacking your energy levels. Now, everyone that I seem to meet, David, seems to be fatigued, is complaining of being tired, of brain fog, of not being able to do what they could do before. How big is this a problem, David?
It's massive. To be honest, fatigue and low energy is the number one condition that people come to me with.
Yeah.
And stress is the next one, then anxiety, then depression. We have an epidemic of PTSD from the COVID lockdowns and the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates. They've caused innumerable stress to people. Many people have lost jobs. Many people have had major family divisions caused as a result of it. Unfortunately, the Ardern government policies have really divided New Zealand, unfortunately, and it's going to take a while for that fallout to heal. And I know energy psychologists I've spoken to are seeing so many more people now. I'm seeing so many more people. I didn't have anxiety as a category in my intake forms until after COVID. Wow. It's that significantly increased. So yeah, energy's a big one. And there's 3 simple biohacks you can do to improve your energy. Number 1, cut out all sugar and junk foods because they deplete your body of minerals and nutrients that give you energy. Number 2, get your adrenals tested. And I do that as part of my intake for a ThyroFlex test developed by Dr. Daryl Turner in Nitec Medical USA, who's one of the top 5-6 experts in the world on thyroids. And the adrenal glands are intimately connected to the entire endocrine system. But I focus on adrenal thyroid because probably 80% of the patients I see have issues with the adrenals and or the thyroid, particularly females with the thyroid. So if you don't hack these 2 glands, you're never going to have substantial energy on tap. It's just not going to happen. So I said there's 3 things you could do, excuse me. 1 was to avoid sugar and junk foods. Number 2 is to start feeding your adrenal glands. So you need to take a really good multi-nutrient with a high level of minerals in it and B vitamins, particularly B5. And you need an adrenal glandular extract or a targeted herbal support or a homeopathic support for the adrenals. Now, most of those products are now prescription only, particularly glandulars. You can't get them in Australia without a prescription, and it's becoming harder in New Zealand since the Labor government changed the law just before they left office. So now all these have to be prescribed. But if you go to a registered natural health practitioner who can prescribe, like myself and many others, then you can get access to these products. So there's quite a few on the market, and I actually name them in the free ebook, what the products are and how you can get them, unlimited supply with a script from a practitioner. So that's a key one. Thyroids. Now, thyroids are huge, particularly for women. It's a gland here, butterfly-shaped gland. It's an intermediate between the pituitary and the ovaries in females. Effectively is one of the master controllers, along with the pituitary and ovaries, for governing a woman's menstrual cycle. So if there are any issues with menstruation, pain, discomfort, irregularity, unusualness, not being able to get pregnant, metabolism problems, overweight problems, you just can't lose the weight after that first baby, it'll guarantee in 75 to 80% of cases it'll be a thyroid imbalance. And the reason is, if you're drinking tap water, which I strongly recommend you don't do, you're getting a whole range of toxins into your body, including chlorine and fluoride, and those 2 bind to the thyroid and block the receptors for absorbing iodine. So if you're drinking copious quantities of tap water, you're going to be damaging your thyroid, amongst other things, and your immune system. So number 1 biohack, stop drinking tap water. as well as getting off the sugar. So those two little interventions can make a difference. Get your adrenals and thyroid assessed. Either do the Thyroflex test online with me or someone else that knows how to do it. And I offer an international service. I can do this online anywhere in the world. I just ask you a series of questions. We total up, and I do several tests to confirm that. We can get blood tests done. However, how I was trained in the States, that in New Zealand, the training for thyroids with doctors is very, very deficient. The blood tests don't reveal the dysfunction that we pick up with our more sensitive tests. So, I get women's thyroids sorted out, their periods stabilize. If they've gone through the menopause, the flushes eventually will go with specifics, and their energy comes back. They start to go down to their normal weight, and then their immune system can function properly. Because if you don't have strong adrenals and strong thyroid, your immune system is on crutches. Yeah. So you've got to biohack those systems, and biohacking healing does just that. In the first lesson, with the 3-hour intensive, I teach how to hack adrenals, thyroid, because everyone needs it. Pretty much everyone needs it. The only ones that won't need it are those that are exceptionally capable people who are already feeding their adrenal glands and their thyroid by lifestyle medicine, by switching off the stress response. So the most damaging thing about stress is it raises cortisol levels. Cortisol is highly inflammatory. It irritates and aggravates any existing or pre-existing inflammatory condition and will make it worse. Okay? So this is a mechanism we have to switch off. So meditation, mindfulness, lifestyle medicine switches off the cortisol response, drops the levels down. Give an example for people to understand. Cortisol is like pouring petrol on a fire. It'll go woof and take off. And it's the key in all cancer cases that I see and many other diseases. So to avoid those, you can biohack them by correcting and fixing the adrenals as a number one priority, and then your energy levels will become a distant thing, memory in the past. You'll wake up leaping out of bed with heaps of energy, ready to tackle your day.
Wow, that sounds fantastic, David. So, do people experience fatigue differently? Some people it's mental, some people it's physical, emotional. And how does it affect their quality of life, David?
Massively. Look, the different genders experience stress differently. The needs for females are different to the needs of males. Just put all the transgender stuff to the side for a minute. There's basically men and women have completely different endocrine needs. Right. Men get very stressed around their work, and if they can't provide for their children and their wives. Women get a lot more focused on the family and what's inside the house and having a loving home environment. Very traditional values, of course, but with obvious exceptions. That is the norm for most people on the planet. Okay, yes. So we'll talk about the 90% of people on the planet that this relates to, but everyone is affected by stress. So the key things you can do is not engage in toxic relationships, particularly for females. Being more emotionally sensitive than men as a rule, there's obviously exceptions to that, they need to know that they're loved and appreciated and respected and they're provided for, and they've got a safe, nurturing environment to raise their family if they choose to do that. Otherwise, the women can launch themselves into a career, but if they've got a strong, healthy marriage or a strong, healthy relationship, that makes all the difference. Sure. Everyone needs loving support. And one of the best treatments for stress is to spend time with someone you love and to nurture them. Take them out, give them a massage, go for a nice meal, go for a romantic walk on the beach holding hands, walk on the beach barefoot to ground yourself. This is all really valuable information that you can biohack stress. That we mentioned the things about being grateful for 3 things at night before you drop off to sleep. And in the morning, you can focus on 3 things you want for the day ahead that are positive. And you start, this becomes all encompassing. You start to become a habit. And so you start thinking of the positives and not the negatives that the mainstream media is training you to do.
Yes. So you've kind of correlated stress with fatigue. So we started off talking about fatigue.
The two are intimately connected.
And they are really interconnected, aren't they? And I suppose burnout is also part of that. So a lot of people I meet are experiencing work burnout.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with that, and how can they prevent it?
Well, that's a tricky one in times of high unemployment when the economy is not good like it is now because of the overspending on COVID. So it's not a good time to change jobs if you can get a job. I mean, obviously the thing to do, if you hate Mondays, you loathe commuting, and you don't like your boss, and you're doing what you think is meaningless work, your quality of work life is going to be so low, your immune system's going to feel that, your stress levels and cortisol is going to go up every Monday morning. Cardiologists say that the biggest window for heart attacks, myocardial infarctions, is Monday mornings. So if you've got a job you don't like, you need to look at changing it. In the meantime, until the economy picks up and you can either find gainful employment elsewhere, or you can nurture yourself into self-employment, or whatever it is that lights your fire, you can start practicing these internal mental biohacks and looking at your boss in a different way so you don't judge them so much. I mean, they've got reasons for what they're doing. They're concerned about the bottom line. They're carrying the financial can for you by paying your wages. So start to change your attitude to your boss. Yeah, if you've got a jerk for a boss, okay, you need to leave eventually. But, until there's a good time and you've got other options, it would be more stressful. You'd be jumping from the frying pan to the fire. So you don't want to put more cortisol load onto your adrenals. So you want to make sure, use the things you've got in life as pluses and boost them. If you've got a really close family and you've got a loving relationship with your partner, you want to spend more time immersed in that to balance the stress of a 40-hour week, or maybe more than 40 hours of work you don't like, and look at other opportunities. And interestingly, that is a side effect of the biohacking healing courses. We talk about how people can get involved in natural medicine and natural health care as a sideline to nurture themselves into either self-employment or part-time self-employment to boost their income. So, financial stress is a very real part of life in the 21st century. Right. Everyone needs money to survive and thrive. If you don't have enough, it's stressful, and that alone can cause adrenal fatigue and immune collapse. Making sure that you have those I's dotted and T's crossed financially is very important for everyone.
Yes. And I suppose the meaningfulness of some meaninglessness of some jobs, where people don't really emotionally connect with their job. They find it meaningless. So how do we find more meaningfulness? Like you did mention setting up your own business, for instance, and I notice in New Zealand a lot of people set up businesses around things that they are passionate about.
Yes.
So do you think that's a really important factor, is finding meaningfulness in your life, whatever
Absolutely.
you do?
Look, Gerald, you're a classic example of this, because from the last year you had when you were working for someone as a wage slave, and you know how much happier you are now. You're running your own boat. I mean, I'm lucky. I was directed spiritually to get into this profession as a vocation. I'm so passionate about natural medicine. Being Virgo rising probably helps, but I love what I do. I'm never going to retire. Exactly. Why would I retire when I love what I do? It gives me great pleasure to see people getting well. And sure, I'm not going to work 40 hours a week when I'm in my 70s, but I'll do a couple of days a week. But I love what I do. You want to find something that you really enjoy. You can turn a hobby into a career. That's a common thread for people. But find something you're passionate about. Now, it doesn't have to be running your own business. It can be, and you can have that on the side as a side hustle to make extra money if you're not being paid well in your existing job. But look for things that you feel enthusiastic about and you'd like to get involved in. And when the economy picks up, 26, 27 hopefully, then start looking around and look at your options. Because if you don't broaden your horizons, and this is what biohacking, neurohacking does, it opens up your mind to other possibilities. And we talk in Biohacking 303 about other dimensionalities and how you can bring those into your physical reality. This is the new cutting edge in holistic sciences, neuroscience, neurohacking. This is really exciting stuff where fatigue and stress just dissolves. You know what it's like when you were a kid, say you were 5 or 6 years old, and you were doing a project playing with your best friend in a sand pit or whatever, and time just flies. Next thing your mum's saying, come in for lunch, come on, you haven't eaten for 4 hours. You're totally focused on that thing as a kid. Because kids are great. Anyone who's a parent knows with young children, they're totally in the moment. And that's what happens when I'm with patients. I'm totally in the moment. And time just, a 2-hour consult goes like that when you've got a structured plan and you know what you're doing. So this is the key for reducing stress in your life. Having healthy, harmonious relationships with family and friends, having some good social downtime, doing a career you like or enjoy, or moving in that direction so you know you've got an out for your stressful life as it is now. That gives you light at the end of the tunnel, something to aim for, something you can move towards. And I teach people how to do that with creative visualization and energy psychology techniques in the Biohacking 202 course.
Right. So does your biohacking healing course and events offer a structure for people to work on the many layers of fatigue that they've built up over years or decades?
Absolutely. Look, believe it or not, fatigue is not a hard thing to fix. Right. I usually sort out 90% of fatigue issues with non-cancer patients in 2 sessions. Okay, right. That's in 2 months. They'll be completely different, even if they follow half the biohacks I give them. Okay, right. It's not hard to do. As I said before, you've got to feed the adrenals, feed the thyroid, get a better diet, start changing your mentality, start doing some exercise once you've got energy back to do it, and the right type of exercise. We talk about REHIT technology as opposed to HIIT from last century. Little hacks that make all the difference. With exercise, you don't have to do a lot. That's the thing. It's the rest and evaluation side of REHIT, that where you put on the muscle mass and you get all the gains. So, and just a good diet that's suited to your metabolism and your blood type reduces stress on your digestive system, so your organs get fed properly. This is actually really, really important. So, in a nutshell, the different blood types, O, A, B, and B, they come from different genetic heritages, and O blood types are way better at being omnivores. They have shorter digestive tracts. They have larger kidneys, larger livers, larger spleens, so they can handle meat toxins better. A blood types are the more natural vegetarian. They've got a longer digestive tract that's needed to digest and absorb plant-based diet. They've got smaller kidneys, smaller liver, smaller spleens, so they can't handle meat toxins as well. Understanding these fundamental anatomic and biochemical and metabolic differences makes all the difference. And unfortunately, orthodox medicine, in a 15-20 minute consult with a GP, all they've got time to do is to treat your primary symptoms with a drug, and that's it. They don't have time, unless they're a specialist, to go into more depth, more detailed blood tests, and to go much deeper to find more about the person and what makes them tick. And this is a lot of what I do. I get to know my patients, and many of them become very good friends because I get to know them. They share stuff with me in confidence, and I take my my vows of confidentiality very seriously as a health practitioner. But I get to know them often better than some of their partners do, actually, and help them in the different areas of their life that are out of balance. And that's a great segue to talk briefly about the Destiny Wheel.
Right.
The Destiny Wheel is something I created in 2022, and it's a self-evaluation process Divide your life up into 12 areas, from relationships and finances through to career and spirituality, diet, nutrition. There's 12 of them. And your circle of life needs to be even, so the wheel spins and turns easily without, like it's square wheels, you bump, you get a bumpy ride through life. If you know where the bumps are, you can even them out, and the Destiny Wheel shows you how to do that, and that's available as a download on holdenhealthcare.com.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like the Destiny Wheel is really relating back to what we've talked about on this session. The Destiny Wheel is actually a tool for boosting your energy and eliminating fatigue forever in your life.
Well, exactly.
Yes.
And it's going to the cause. It's finding out
Yes.
what in your life isn't working.
Yeah.
Let's make it work or change it. You've got a choice. I'm trying to put my patients in the driver's seat. They're the ones that are going to benefit most from this. And so I teach them how to self-monitor, so they're not dependent on coming back to me all the time, that they can power up and have dominion over their own health. And that's really what it's about.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure this will be really positive news for a lot of people who are suffering from fatigue at the moment, David. So, and also the ensuing sessions that we are going to have are going to add to this.
Yep.
So please make sure you tune in to the next sessions, and also sign up for the events and for the course. And David, we'll see you next time. Probably we'll talk about nutrition and diet, and that's a big topic.
It's a massive topic.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, David. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Look forward to it, Gerald. Thank you.